Hi and welcome back to Cheeky Crypto. My name is Nick and today guys we're going to be jumping down into the world of Singularity DAO. If you're not familiar with what Singularity DAO is and what they do, you should absolutely check it out. Singularity DAO is a spin-off from Singularity NET, an AI-based project. And essentially what they're doing is basically trading. The AI is trading on behalf of retail investors, various different cryptocurrencies. That's kind of really oversimplistic, but you should go ahead and do some research if you're not already familiar. In this video, we're going to be jumping down into the price action of 𝗕𝗓, their governance token, and we're going to be taking a look at where we think things are going in terms of the price action. We have seen a pretty significant surge to the upside on a lot of artificial intelligence-based projects, 𝗕𝗓 included, and I still think there's a lot further to go. Let's jump right down into this one, and as I get into it, if you find it useful and informative, smash that like button. I really do appreciate that. If you're new to the channel, then why not go ahead and subscribe? Tap in the bell, selecting all the notifications, and you will not miss another video update. And if you haven't yet joined us in Discord, guys, what are you waiting for? Check it out, linked in the description down below. It's a fantastic community talking crypto 24/7. It's completely free, and I don't think you'll be disappointed by what you find down there. Let's jump right down into the desktop and jump into the world of Singularity DAO. We're going to take a look at a couple of things on the daily time frame, okay? And what we're going to do is we're going to reflect on a little bit of Elliott wave theory and some smart money concepts. We'll start with the Elliott wave theory side of things, okay? And we can see that we do have this really cool structure coming up here to the upside, right? And we can kind of take a look at this thing with a fantastic run up here, and we have cooled down and we've corrected down quite nicely so far. You can see that we're just trying to test the 200 EMA on the daily, and we have found that the 50 EMA, this red line, is our resistance. I do expect us to kind of break down from here, at least on the smaller time frames, and then we'll see, whether or not we can get a bigger run to the upside at a later date. So let's kind of reflect in on this, right? So if I zoom out, we still had this low down here at 14.77, and it does look like that is going to be our low for the bear market. I don't think that has to break down much more. We've had a pretty significant surge to the upside, as I said. Not as good as Singularity NET, but this is because I think not a lot of people really understand what Singularity DAO are doing just yet, and I think this is going to be one of those hidden gems that pops massively in due course. Now, like I said, do your own research on it, as I think you will not regret diving into the world of Singularity DAO. Now, you can see it's had an 895% move to the upside. I think Singularity NET was about 1800%. So I still think that both of these projects, if you're not already invested, you need to go ahead and do some research and come to your own conclusions as to whether it's something that works for you. Personally, I am invested. I'm invested in pretty much all of the Singularity NET projects. There's a whole ecosystem around them, whether that is 𝗕𝗓𝗪, 𝗕𝗓𝗪𝗪, Singularity DAO in the case of this one here. So when we take a look at these structures, what do we see? Well, I can see that we had pretty much a big resistance line right up here, okay, at 85 cents. Looking at this thing, to me, on an Elliott wave theory structure, it looks like we've got to do something like this, okay? So I've put that up there. And I think we've got a little bit lower to go, okay? But I do expect it to be bouncy. I don't expect it to just kind of drop straight the way down and all that kind of stuff. So let's go ahead and reflect on how low this thing can potentially go. I'm just going to drop this over to here, okay, temporarily. We're going to put this on 85 cents. It's a little bit there. This is always a bit fiddly. 85. I'm just going to knock this down to there. Okay. Then I'm just going to park this over to the right-hand side, as I don't need this one right this second. What I want to do is I also want to check this area here, right? I want to be checking to see whether or not we're retracing into decent levels or, a bit deeper than maybe we would expect it. So I'm going to first of all just draw a line or draw a yellow box on this 50% level, all the way down to 88.2%, which is down here. So this gives us a broad area, okay? And then I can get rid of this one, okay? So this gives us an idea that we've tapped into this once already, and we could come down a little bit deeper. And I do want to kind of reflect that this little area here, or previous area of support, could be an area that we look for, and that does tie in very nicely with our fibs over here on the right hand side. Taking a look at this thing, we can come down to the 1 to the 1.236, which would be a deeper level. But you can see here the 786 is a key level as well. And you can see that this is an area of consolidation previously from over this side. So this actually looks like a pretty good level. So I'm kind of calling out 30 to 31 cent looking pretty good for 𝗕 here. Okay, now taking a look at this on a bigger structure, we can see that we had a pretty good run. I'm going to go ahead and just remove, actually before I remove this, I'm just going to draw in a little yellow box on the 1 to 1.236 levels, and then I'm just going to remove it. So we know that that's a typical area just at the bottom there. But when we start zooming out and we start thinking, once this correction is done, where can we go? If I do drop this in right on the lower side at the 88.2%, you can see here we can have a pretty good progression towards the 193 to 333 range up here. So looking pretty good on where that price action could be taking the price action of 𝗕, at least under the assumption of Elliott wave theory, right? And that's under a worst case scenario, say worst case scenario, but like the most basic of zigzag patterns. We could, of course, be targeting up significantly higher, the $8 and so forth. And under those kind of structures, you can kind of see the all-time high was up at 589. I'm thinking that this particular project is $20, $30, even maybe $40 potential in the future. So this is like a lot of fundamentals behind it, but it's relatively new. So there's not terribly too much price action to kind of be driving our ideas from in terms of where we think things can go under certain structures. So I do think this is going to have some massive kind of surge to the upside at some point. Don't know when, and I cannot time it, but looking at it, I'm quite happy to think about dollar cost averaging pretty much anywhere inside this yellow box, which would be 19.29 cents through to about 46.59 cents. Okay, so pretty broad range, but that's going to be pretty decent DCA area in my humble opinion. And I think that's going to tie in quite nicely with a bigger surge to the upside and some fantastic gains in the future. And like I said, we do have this area up here between 192 and 333. I still expect us to more likely push above the 1.618, tying in more towards the 10, 20, 30, maybe even $40 in the future. So it'd be interesting to kind of see how that one plays out. Now, from a smart money concepts point of view, do we see the same thing? Okay, so here we can see that we are obviously fighting those EMAs. Okay, we have got a bullish change of characterization here. Okay, so things are looking pretty good on the daily time frame for a move upwards. Now, just because we've broken up here, we actually do typically tend to come down lower than these change of characterizations before we rally on upwards. So it's nothing terribly too unusual there. Now, as we kind of look at this, we can see that we have left some imbalances in the order books down here, here, and here. So there's 4 of them. We don't have to fill them, just typically you normally would expect to do so. So as I look at these things, I think to myself, yeah, we can see down here this previous area of consolidation. This is that area that we were talking about just a moment ago. Let me actually draw it back on here. Draw it across. You can see how this area also ties in not only with our imbalance in our order books and this fair value gap, but also an internal order block down here as well. Okay, so I do think there's a likelihood that we have to move down into this low point at some point. And likewise with Elliott wave theory, when I draw that back on here, just using a 3-wave structure from here, we can see and we can argue that, yeah, we can see a need to come down into these fair value gaps, right back down, potentially into this discounted range. I do personally think the discounted range is a tad too low, and it is a strong low. I'm not expecting that to get lost. I think we kind of have got a bottom now for 𝗕, and I don't think that's likely to change. But we can see, of course, that we have a weak high indicating there is still upward momentum. You can find that we have rejected from the equilibrium quite a bit, and you can see all these red areas just here. All of this is internal sell order blocks. So lots of selling pressure up in this higher range. And our expectation should be that we reconsolidate back down into this slightly lower area. But all of that is short term. And I do think there's a bigger pull to the upside to be had. And like I said, I do think the future potential for 𝗕 and Singularity DAO's protocol is quite significant. And this is one of those things that you have to look at it from a fundamental point of view as well as the technical. So there isn't a lot of data to go on from a technical standpoint, but from a fundamental standpoint, everything that they're trying to do is really key for retail investors to really flourish in this space, allowing artificial intelligence to trade baskets of different cryptocurrency assets on your behalf and outperforming that of hedge funds and various other professional traders. To be honest with you, there's very few ways you can kind of beat that. So I think it's worth doing your own research. And obviously note that I'm not a financial advisor. I can't give you financial advice or anything like that. All I can do is give you my thoughts and opinions on the data as I see it. And if you're looking for our own kind of I guess, opinions on actually what it's like to invest in the Dynasets of Singularity DAO, then do join us down in Discord. We can have those discussions with you guys. Chris has been pretty pro investing in the Dynasets, and as has many of our community members as well. So I do urge you guys, join us down in Discord. Like I said, it's linked in the description down below, and we can continue those conversations in the Discord server. Ultimately, I'm quite liking the idea of a consolidative phase for Singularity DAO. Pick up a bit more, add to the position, because I do think this has true, really fantastic potential in the future. I'm going to leave this video right there though, guys. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below. Is this one that you have done some research on? How are you finding it if you are already invested, and if you have used those Dynasets? Let me know what your thoughts and opinions are in the comments. If you found it useful and informative, smash that like button. I really do appreciate that. If you're new to the channel, then why not go ahead and subscribe, tapping the bell, selecting all the notifications, and you will not miss another video. Until the next one though, guys, have a fantastic day.
We are not financial advisors. None of what we have communicated verbally or in writing here should be considered as financial advice. It is not. Do your own research before investing in any digital asset or affiliate offers, and understand that investing in any crypto is risky. If you do, you need to be prepared to risk your entire investment. This video is for information and entertainment purposes only. All our videos are strictly personal opinions. Please make sure you do your own research and never take our opinions for financial guidance. There are multiple strategies, and not all strategies fit all people. Our videos are not financial advice.